journalists are supposed to report facts as they know them. They are supposed to give equal coverage to events regardless if the events benefit one side of the political spectrum or the other. Largely, we don't have a fair press. Instead, we have left-wing dominated press. The lion's share of reporting that is done in this country is to discredit and frame conservatism in the worst possible light, and through selective storytelling, convince Americans that totalitarian rule, well, it really isn't that bad. Many of you might be asking, what's the difference between the majority of the press slanting their coverage toward putting a happy face on left-wing extremism and me, your liberty-loving Latino, extolling the virtues of conservatism in my story selection? Well, the answer is simple. I don't pretend I'm a journalist. I don't lie to my audience every day. I tell you up front, I'm a conservative, and I give my opinion on things. The biased press, on the other hand, are mostly left-wing extremists who put out their left-wing advocacy, but instead of admitting they are biased toward collectivism, they lie, claiming that what they're doing is journalism. Learning to detect and avoid fake news. That's the tip we provide in today's preamble. I'd like to introduce you to the new face of white supremacy, according to the bat guano crazy left-wingers. This is Tali Key, a PhD student in applied physics, who was identified as the suspected shooter at the University of North Carolina. Now, many of you might be wondering why you're not hearing much about this case these days. It's because the left-wing press had a hard time convincing even the most gullible news watcher that a brown Asian citizen of Wuhan, China was the face of white supremacy in America. He's from a communist country, after all. You know, most in the left-wing press and in the Democrat Party, they're in the middle of a love affair with the racist, genocidal slave state of China. So the story is dropped in deference to the left-wing narrative. If you watch the liberal biased press, CNN, MSNBS, the others, you might be wondering whatever happened to the reporting on the left-winger who shot up a bank in Louisville, Kentucky, the deranged shooter who murdered 5 of his co-workers and who identified his pronouns as he and him. He left 2 notes explaining his actions. The notes included the liberal narratives that he wanted to make sure got a lot of airtime, like the fiction that it's, quote, too easy, end quote, to buy a gun in America, especially for someone with mental problems. Clearly, this left-wing lunatic lied on his application by not reporting his mental issues. For the record, lying on a federal background check form is a federal crime unless your name is Hunter Biden. The biased press dropped the Nashville trans shooting story like a hot potato. According to reports, the FBI is helping him do it. As you all know, the trans shooter gunned down 6 Christians, 3 of them children. And by the way, horrific trans shooting happened just shortly after Hanoi Jane Fonda jumped on The View and called for the murder of those who don't believe in slaughtering babies in the womb through abortion on demand. You know, Christians. But back to the trans shooter. The shooter left a detailed manifesto, and the FBI and Nashville authorities are still withholding that manifesto, I suspect, because it would make one of the left's sacred cows look really bad. It would destroy their narrative. That's a sharp contrast to the flood of near instantaneous and continuous coverage of the Jacksonville shooter. Within hours, the biased press was yelling at the top of their lungs. They finally had a white shooter, and he fulfilled their narrative. He's a racist. He hates black people just as much as communist China does. Authorities were all too happy to help the press get as much information out there on this guy that they could. This story preserved the left-wing narrative. So the next time you tune into the biased press and you hear them pushing their narrative over news that America is racist and that whites are out there hunting people of color down and that the only solution to illegal shootings is to take everybody's guns away, everyone's except the government and the criminals, now you know what to do. Just turn that channel off.